McMillan.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. I was actually getting quite worried. For the first couple of minutes I was agreeing with Stephen Kerr. But then he turned to type and thankfully I disagree with the vast majority of the latter part of his contribution. But certainly I'm pleased to speak in this debate and certainly some of the opening comments from Maurice Golden and also Willie Rennie, where their contributions actually seem to be quite positive about Scotland's role internationally. But it certainly seems to contradict Donald Cameron and Christine Jardin's previous comments with regards to Scotland's outward investment. To paraphrase the opening lines of the framework, I agree that while international relations are fundamentally about relationships between governments, the ties between people and communities are also vital in increasing global peace and also prosperity. And that's why today I'm going to focus my comments on two key opportunities that, in my opinion, would benefit Scotland and also our global diaspora. Now, the first relates to conversations I've had with colleagues involved in the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. And through the CPA, I've had the privilege of meeting politicians from across the Commonwealth, and I take my role on the Scottish Parliamentary Branch and International Executive Committee very seriously, as colleagues who have served with me on the branch they would testify to that. But whilst you're away and you're engaging with folk, I do like to make the time to network and engage with other members of the Commonwealth outside of the official business to learn more about their cultures, their politics and, crucially, their connections to Scotland. And I'm always looking for a hook to raise the profile of Scotland, but also of my Greenock and Inverclyde constituency, and highlight the many opportunities that we actually have. And also, as the official parliamentary piper, it's easy for me to strike up that type of conversation, as it often leads to other CPA members asking me about Scotland's culture, because sometimes I do take the pipes with me on some of the events. But these conversations got me to thinking about ways we could actually celebrate our culture and global diaspora on a bigger scale. And I keep coming back to the issue of Tartan Week in New York. Now, these events are significant and attract a lot of Scots to New York from all over North America, also with the various events often receiving lots of press coverage, but also both within North America and also further afield. America isn't the only place with connections to Scotland, and through the CPA, I've learned that Australia actually has its own Tartan Day held annually on the 1st of July. Now, the date was chosen as it marks the anniversary of the repeal proclamation of 1782, annulling the Act of Prescription of 1747, which banned the wearing of tartan and was punishable by transportation. Now, from my engagements with colleagues from Australia, these celebrations don't appear to have the same reach or impact as those in North America. But with over 2 million Australians claiming Scottish heritage, and I believe there is a huge opportunity to elevate a Tartan Day type event in Australia and also to promote Scotland. And sure,
Donald Cameron.
I thank the member for taking the intervention on the subject of tartan and Australia. He was talking about. Can I? This is a predictable point for me to make, but can I ask him about the clan network in Scotland and the wider clan diaspora? Every Scottish clan will have international associations, etc., and a huge network that the Scottish Government could use. It doesn't have to be just about tartan, but it can be about exchange programmes, that kind of thing, which I know happen. Does the member agree with me? Stuart McMillan.
Well, Mr Cameron, you'll be pleased to hear. I'm going to come on to that point in a moment, because that's the second point I'm actually going to raise. Sure, Cabinet Secretary.
Cabinet Secretary.
Through an intervention, may I address Donald Cameron's point and report for those who are unaware that Donald McLaren of McLaren, who is one of those who is responsible for Scotland's clan network, was in New York during Tartan Week, and the organisers of that event very much welcome the involvement of Scotland's historic clan association, so they do form very much part of international outreach efforts, and we're very grateful for it.
Stuart McMillan.
As the Cabinet Secretary touched upon earlier on, I wrote to him, but also to the presiding officer, with a suggestion, a proposal, by way of not replicating what happens in North America, but having something bespoke for Australia. in terms of kind of a Tartan Week type of event. With over 2 million Scots, people claiming it was Scots heritage, I can only see a positive impact for Scotland and also its diaspora. And also just to highlight kind of one kind of interesting point, just to add it into the debate, I touched upon my Greenock and Inverclyde constituency. There is actually very much a very strong link with Port Glasgow to Australia, and that is that the composer of the national anthem was Peter Dodds McCormick, who was born in Port Glasgow in 1834. He was a teacher and also a composer. Now, I won't go into too much of the detail about the proposal, as I'm conscious of time, but when I consider the depopulation challenges that my constituency faces, but also the population challenges that Scotland faces, as per the Scottish Fiscal Commission report recently published, the aspect of dealing with it and really engaging more with the diaspora, that presents such a huge, unique opportunity to entice others, whether they have got a Scottish connection or not, to consider visiting or living here or even investing here. Now, and the second point I want to touch on, Presiding Officer, is that the one I'm sure that we can all relate to, and that's when we do meet tourists visiting Scotland, or when we're abroad and meet people who have a connection to Scotland. Now, I've often found that, particularly if they're visiting Scotland, visitors have traced their family history and are trying to visit areas where their relatives grew up, worked or lived. And that's by making sure we not only preserve but amplify our own history. It's also crucial for engaging Scotland's global diaspora. On Sunday, I was invited by the Society of William Wallace to take part in the unveiling of the Wallace Oak at Hunterston Castle. During the visit, I spoke with Madam Pauline Hunter of Clan Hunter, and I told her I was going to be speaking in this debate this afternoon. Now, Ivan McKee touched upon the issue of heritage earlier, and I was pleased to hear that first of all, she welcomed the Scottish Connections Framework and its commitment to support heritage organisations and improve access to information targeted at Scotland's diaspora. But working with Clan Hunter, who've already engaged with Clan Macmillan, actually in my constituency, but also Clan Buchanan on this, that would be of great benefit, not just for tourism purposes alone, but for engaging with Scotland's diaspora and making those connections. Because, who knows where it could lead to in terms of inward investment in jobs. Now, international engagement isn't just about talking about the past. It's actually an investment in the present and also the future. Economic opportunities can open up if we're prepared to engage. Staying at home, well, certainly that will never, ever succeed. And in these tough, straitened economic times, it's more vital than ever that Scotland is outward-focused, outward-minded, and outselling and promoting our nation. And anything less is failing the 5.5 million Scots here and the 40 million of the diaspora we have across the globe. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms McMillan.